What does it take to erase 500,000 people from the face of the earth? Not a trace of war, not a trace of disease, not a trace of struggle. They simply vanished. But they didn't leave empty-handed. This is a real-life documentary story from Amazon, South America. Through our investigation, we saw, dangling from cliffs above the city, 200 mummies. What they left carved into stone is not history, it's a warning. And is there no one alive today? Every answer, every secret, every truth. Stay and make sure you watch all the way to the end, because the final discovery forces us to rethink everything we thought we knew. Imagine living on a mountain so high, your neighbors are the clouds. For centuries, a secret civilization hid here. They built a city bigger than Machu Picchu. They defeated the most powerful empire in South America. They buried their dead in places only eagles could reach. And then, they vanished. No warning, no explanation, no survivors. Today, we climb into the mist to find them. High above the Amazon rainforest, where the air is thin and the clouds never leave, lived a people the world forgot. We call them the Chachapoya, but that is not what they called themselves, because here is the first mystery. We do not know their real name. Not a single word, not a single title, not a single record. Tens of thousands of warriors, and we cannot even say what they called their own civilization. What we do know is what they built. Kuelap, a fortress so massive it contains more stone than the Great Pyramid of Giza. Built 3,000 feet above sea level, walls 60 feet high, 420 buildings hidden inside. Machu Picchu gets millions of visitors every year. Kuelap, most people have never even heard its name. For decades, the Cloud people held off the Inca Empire, the same empire that conquered every civilization it touched. The Cloud people looked down from their fortress and said no. For years they fought. For years they resisted. For years, they survived. But survival has a price, and the Cloud people were about to pay it. But it was not the Inca that finally destroyed them. What came next, nobody saw coming, and nobody was prepared. To understand the Cloud people, you must first understand how they treated their dead. Not with graves, not with burial mounds, but with tombs carved into cliff faces, hundreds of feet above the ground. Places only the wind could reach. In 1996, local farmers discovered a hidden lagoon deep in the cloud forest. Around its edges, clinging to the cliff walls above the water, were over 200 mummies, sealed inside human-shaped coffins, each one with a painted face, each one staring outward toward the horizon, as if watching, as if waiting. But when scientists examined the mummies more closely, they found something deeply disturbing. The skulls were elongated, deliberately shaped from birth, and some of them had holes drilled into them, not after death, while they were still alive. Why? Nobody knows, and nobody may ever know. The Cloud people left no written language, no explanation, no answer, just skulls, with holes and silence. But the skulls were not the most disturbing discovery. Because deep inside the Amazon jungle, far from any known civilization, someone had carved something into stone, something that had absolutely no business being there. In the early 1700s, a Portuguese expedition pushed deep into the Amazon jungle. They were not looking for anything specific, but what they found stopped them completely. Carved into ancient stone walls were symbols, strange symbols, geometric symbols, symbols no one has fully decoded. Some researchers believe the Cloud people had contact with civilizations we have not yet discovered. Some believe ancient ocean crossings happened that nobody ever recorded. And some believe the symbols mean something else entirely, something we are not yet ready to understand. But here is what disturbed me most. Not what was found, but what happened to the people who went looking for more answers. Because the jungle that hid the Cloud people has a way of swallowing those who search too deeply. When the Spanish arrived in the 1500s, the Cloud People made a decision. They had fought the Inca for decades. They could not fight Europe as well. So they sided with the Spanish. They thought it would save them. They were wrong. What the Spanish brought with them was invisible, silent, unstoppable. Disease. Not swords, not armies, not war, just disease. Smallpox moved through the cloud forests faster than any army could march. Communities that had stood for 1,000 years were gone in months. The fortress of Kuelap was abandoned. The cliff tombs were sealed. The symbols in the jungle fell silent. Tens of thousands of people gone. Not in battle, not in defeat, but quietly, invisibly, in the mist. Today, archaeologists using satellite technology have discovered that we have examined less than 10% of everything the Cloud People left behind. 90% of their story is still buried, still hidden, still waiting in the cloud forests of Peru. And in 2008, a group of locals following a waterfall deep in the Amazon stumbled onto something nobody expected. A city, perfectly preserved, untouched, as if the Cloud People had just stepped away. The 2008 discovery changed everything. 12 acres of perfectly preserved ruins, rock paintings still intact, household objects untouched, a civilization frozen in time. And still, no answers to the biggest question of all. Who were they really? Where did they come from? What do those symbols mean? And where did tens of thousands of people go so quietly that the world did not notice for 500 years? We found their walls, we found their mummies, we found their tombs, but we still cannot say their name. And perhaps that is the most haunting truth of all. The Cloud People are gone, but their walls still stand against the wind. After 500 years of rain, after 500 years of silence, after 500 years of being forgotten, their walls still stand. And that teaches us something. Even if the world forgets us, even if our name disappears, even if everything we worked for seems to vanish, the things we build with patience, with strength, with purpose, last forever. The Cloud People had no historians, no books, no one to remember their name. But they built so well, so deeply, so honestly, that 500 years later, we are still climbing into the mist to find them. So today, I want to ask you one question. Not about the Cloud People, about you. What are you building that will still be standing 500 years from now? If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to Light Will Global for more stories about the people, the places, and the mysteries that history tried to forget. Because some stories were never meant to stay hidden.